Do teens in Mississippi and other youth receive enough education in the subjects of personal finance and economics?
Are Mississippi high school and college students even concerned about serious financial issues like inflation? This morning, we have a live interview with Selena Schwartzfeger, the president of the Mississippi Council on Economic Education at Millsaps College in Jackson. Her organization strives to improve K-12 education in the areas of economics, personal finance, and entrepreneurship.
Good morning, Ms. Schwartzfeger. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, before we start, just a side note, I have to say, when I first heard your name, the first thing I thought was Schwarzenegger. Has anybody ever said that to you before?
Yes, I've heard that a couple of times.
Well, thank you again.
Couple.
Yeah, just a couple. Well, thank you for joining us.
It is a married name, which I've had for almost 31 years now. So I've heard that actually a lot of times.
Okay, that's funny. Right, anyway, so let's start off. Why are some high school and college students worried about higher inflation and other economic issues, while others may or may not have any significant concerns about them?
You know, I think for people of that age, so high schoolers are generally 14 to 18 years old, it's just not real enough to them yet. A lot of them, I mean, obviously they're not funding their own lives at that point. Even if they have a job, their parents or their guardians are the ones that are paying most of the bills. So it's like most things in life, until you actually need to care, you don't care. So I think that's part of the reason. And then others have gotten a really good education, perhaps, at school in their economics class. And so they know, wait a minute, these are things that I need to be paying attention to, because before I know it, if, you know, once they leave high school, 4 years of college, then, or 2 years or one, whatever they choose to do, military, then I am going to need to worry about these things. So let me start paying attention right now.
You know, I kind of think you hit the nail on the head. My sister and I have an 8-year age gap between us. She's 19, and you were explaining how even though she has a job, she still may not be concerned because she does live at home. She is going to community college, so she doesn't have those stresses. My mom is being a mom, but I feel like I'm being a strict mom, and I'm like, Isabella, you've got to pay attention to this. But
Yes.
Once a person does become concerned with these economic issues, how might their behavior change when it comes to situations involving money?
Yeah, and you know, a lot of what we teach is behavior modification and making choices, making the right choices, making good choices. So there are things that you can do to protect your future income. And so those things might be making sure you have a savings of 3 to 6 months. That's a pretty basic financial literacy lesson that most people don't heed but should, so that when things hit that are not favorable in the economy, that they have a little bit of a cushion and don't have to be as worried about it. So yeah, it just teaches you to pay attention. Also, there are things that happen in the economy that are a direct result of the people that we vote for in office. And so we need to be paying attention to what our elected officials are doing, and perhaps vote differently at the voting booth if the ones that are in office aren't doing what's good for our economy.
So now, diving into more of the psychology behind younger people, say when people experience behavioral changes related to money, they change how they view it, it becomes more of a serious matter to them. Do you think that this can change their behavior in other parts of their lives as well? And if so, what's
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, there's a really basic economics, I don't know if theory is the right word, but it's something that we teach in econ, and it's called opportunity cost. And so it's a really basic economic principle. That's the word I was looking for. So basically what happens is anytime you make a choice or a decision, you're giving something up every single time. And so just getting our young people to start thinking like that, what is the next best thing that they're giving up? And so that works with money, but it also works with time and energy. And so when people are afraid of economics, which is not uncommon, then what I would say to them is, at the most basic level, it's about making choices, because our resources are limited, our time is limited, our money is limited, our energy is limited. So how do we make the best choices with those resources, knowing that they're unlimited, that they're limited, but what we want is unlimited?
For any of our younger viewers, that is some excellent advice right there. You're talking and I'm thinking to myself, I need to take that question into consideration with every decision I make. Now, how would you describe the current level of instruction, for K through 12 students in Mississippi right now?
Yeah. I love that question. So in Mississippi, economics is a required course for high school graduation and has been since 2012. That was the first graduating class that had to have economics. And one of the reasons that my organization exists is because when that became a requirement, we knew that teachers were not going to be prepared to teach the content. So we offer a program called the Master Teacher of Economics, but it's voluntary. So their teachers are not required to have that course before they teach econ. But basically, the state of economics in the state of Mississippi is pretty good because it is required. It's a required course. Now, I'm not looking at the world through rose-colored glasses. I know a lot of times if the teacher has not been trained to teach quality economics, who knows what they're teaching? They could be teaching personal finance in there, which personal finance is not a bad topic, but it's not economics. And so we don't have a way to know exactly who's doing what in the classroom. But what we do know is that in Mississippi, we are one of approximately 21, 22 states in the nation that require economics for high school graduation.
All right, well, Ms. Swartzfeger, thank you so much for your time this morning. I believe we answered a lot of good questions that a lot of us had about finance.
Can I say one thing before we go?
Of course.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I did mention personal finance, and I'm on a mission to make sure that all Mississippians do know that personal finance is also a required course now for high school graduates. It's called College and Career Readiness, and this class that just graduated from high school was the first class required to take that course.
Oh, wow.
We are the 8th state in the nation to require a full semester of personal finance. So it's looking good, and we should be proud as Mississippians.
And it is so important that these students understand the importance of it. I mean, like I said, my sister really gets annoyed with me when I come home because I'm always hammering her on, what are you doing now? How's school going? Where my mom is like, give her a break.
Well, you hear all the time growing up, you just wait to get into the real world. They wear out that term, I think, in high school. The real world is like, what are you talking about? Almost a lot of the younger people might be. And the financial thing is one of those aspects, I think.
For
That's
sure.
correct.
Well, thanks so much. It's been very interesting talking with you.
Thank you.